Hello, this is going to be my review of the Campark X35 action camera, which we recently bought on Amazon for less than $100. The Campark X35, made by the company Campark. They make many different action cameras for all sorts of budgets. We previously had another Campark camera that we bought before this one called the Campark X25. That was the first camera I bought from this company, Campark, and now we have this one, the Campark X35. And part of this review will be in the context of having owned the other camera which I have from this company, the Campark X25. So this review is going to be about the X35 camera, which you see here, which is recently released, but I will compare it a little bit to the other one, mainly because this one was between $80 and $100. And the other one, other one that we bought previously, the Campark X25, we bought it last year in 2020. It was less than $50. That's how much we bought it for. So just keep in mind, this one is the more expensive of the two. And the reason I brought that up is we're going to get into that very shortly. But first thing, I will just say that this camera is currently in the underwater housing, the Campark X35. It's very easy to take it off. You just pull up at the front over there, and the back of the camera should open pretty easily to take out the camera from the underwater housing. This underwater housing is included as an accessory, and there were lots of accessories with this camera. As you would typically see when you buy an action camera, you will find lots of different mounts, straps, and other accessories, including, of course, the USB cable, which is necessary for transferring footage from your camera to your computer. So some good accessories included. Nice rubbery feel to it. Interesting that there's a screen on the front and a screen on the back. But anyways, I made a list of some things to talk about. So this is my review of the Campark X35 action camera, which advertises itself as being able to record 4K footage at 4K resolution, 30 frames per second. Okay, so here's what I'd like to say about this camera. And the reason I brought up the fact that I own another Campark camera, which I bought for less money, the Campark X25. It was kind of difficult for me to say this, but honestly, I have trouble seeing the footage. I have trouble seeing the footage recorded with this more expensive camera as being better than the footage recorded with the $50 camera. This camera we bought between $80 and $100, and it's very difficult for me to think. It's very difficult for me to say that I think this footage is better than the footage on the $50 camera. And what I mean by that is, while I do like the quality on this camera, I do very much like this product. It is possible. All I'm saying is, maybe there's a slight possibility that I didn't have the settings right, but honestly, I think the footage on this camera is not necessarily better than the footage on the cheaper $50 camera from the same company, Campark. And that's not to say that I don't like this camera. I like it very much. But I'm saying that if price is important to you, it is possible. We paid between $80 and $100 for the Campark X35, this one you see here. It is possible to buy a camera with the same quality footage for less money, like we did with this one, the Campark X25, which we paid $50 for, a little less than $50. So that's the reason I brought up the other camera made by the same company. I like this company, Campark. They include a lot of accessories. I like the quality of the footage, but however, if budget is important, please note that you don't have to pay between $80 and $100. You can pay even less to get a camera with very acceptable quality footage. Of course, it's not going to be the best. You might have to pay hundreds of dollars more if you'd like to buy a camera from a different company, such as the company GoPro, which sells very popular cameras that record high-resolution video. Those might start typically at $200 or more, the GoPro. But there are many companies, such as Campark, that sell cameras, such as the X25 or the X35, which is this one, and you can certainly don't have to pay hundreds of dollars for those cameras. But anyways, that's the first thing I would say in my review. I don't think the footage, just my own personal opinion, I'm not telling you that you're going to have a certain experience. In my own personal opinion, I couldn't help look at the footage comparing the $50 camera to the $80 to $100 camera, thinking that the more expensive camera has definitely better video. I don't think that's the case. My personal opinion, I think they're very comparable, and in this particular case, I did not think that the more expensive camera, the Campark X35, recorded better video than the cheaper camera, the Campark X35. So I just wanted to get that out of the way because originally my mind was tricking me into believing that of course the more expensive one would have better quality. And this isn't a bad thing. It just means that you can buy one from the same company, Campark. I really like this company. Now this is the second camera I have. I have trust in the company. I haven't used these a million times, but I do like the quality. I find it reliable. And I actually attached this camera to a model car, and I rolled it down a few hills. It fell a few times. Very rugged, especially when it's on the underwater housing. I like these cameras, but you can pay as little as $50 and get a camera that records very acceptable quality video. Okay, so one thing, I guess you could call it a little bit of a disappointment, but I didn't think the quality here was much better than the cheaper camera. I thought they were actually the same. That being said, there are more resolution settings on the more expensive camera. There's some good stabilization here in my opinion, so I do like this product personally. This is not a guarantee that you're going to like this product, but enough with the comparisons to the cheaper camera. I like the quality on this camera. I think compared to the cheaper camera, there's of course a screen on the front as well as on the back. There are more video resolution settings than on the cheaper camera. But certainly I'm not going to talk about the comparisons anymore. I'm just going to talk about this camera alone. The Campark X35, there are lots of features such as a time-lapse feature, a slow motion feature, loop recording. It takes photos, even though I have not tested the photo feature yet. So yeah, time-lapse, slow motion. Of course, you can record up to 4K, 30 frames per second. There's 2.7K, 30 frames per second, 1080p, 120 frames per second, 1080p, 60 frames per second. Keep in mind that the memory card that you can see is inserted right here. The micro SD card will have to be a separate purchase. This does not, this memory card does not come with the camera, so keep in mind you will not be able to use this camera unless you buy and insert a micro SD memory card right here into that slot. So that's something if you're not familiar with these cameras, you have to buy a micro SD card. Unless you buy some sort of special bundle, it will not be included in this package. So one thing I'd like to just talk about is how to turn off the distortion correction, also known as the fisheye effect. It's called the distortion correction effect on this camera, so let's just go to the settings really quickly. If you like to have the fisheye effect off, all you want to do is make sure that this button, distortion correction, is checked. That means it's off. If you were to click this, you will turn it on. So to turn on, you click this distortion correction. You press the setting to turn it on. Now it's on, and if you want to turn it off, you have to click the button. So it's might be a little bit deceptive, but if you want to turn off the fisheye effect, you have to click this. To turn it off, you click here. Now it is off. If you want to turn it on, you will have to click here. So right now with this box checked, the distortion correction, or the fisheye effect, is currently off. And if you click this, you will turn it on. So the fisheye effect is currently off when the box is checked. So that's just something I wanted to show you. The fisheye effect is off when you have this box checked. Distortion correction. So we have many settings, as you can see. One of them is 4K all the way up to 4K, 30 frames per second, 2.7K, 30 frames per second. And this is my favorite setting, 1080p, 60 frames per second. With the fisheye effect off, the distortion correction is off. If you want to turn on the fisheye effect, you would click that box again. Okay. So like I said, there are many different settings. There is a time-lapse feature, which will take a picture every few seconds, put them together so it looks like the footage is everything is sped up. There's a slow motion feature. There's a photo feature. I haven't tried that one, so I can't really comment on that. I think my personal favorite video setting is the 2.7K setting at 30 frames per second, but please feel free to look at the video tests which are going to follow after this segment. So in the second part of this video, you will be able to see some clips that we recorded at certain resolutions, and you can just judge for yourself. You can just look at it and decide for yourself if you think that is good quality. I like this setting, 2.7K 30 frames per second, as well as 1080p 60 frames per second. With the distortion correction off, the fisheye effect is currently off, and if you click this button, you will turn it on. There are lots of features. As I said, it's nice that you don't have to spend hundreds of dollars on a camera to have a camera which records acceptable quality video. In my opinion, this one was between $80 and $100. The one thing I will say, which is a little bit unfortunate, is that if you're recording video and you're talking very loud, or if there's lots of noise, like really, if you're talking very loud close to the camera, if you're too close to the microphone and you're talking very loud on this camera, the audio might get a little bit distorted. So if you're gonna do commentary, or if you're gonna talk while you're recording video, it's best to keep the camera a little bit away from you if you're gonna speak very loudly, because then otherwise, if you're too close to the microphone, the audio might get distorted a little bit. But that's really it. I think this is it's a very small camera, very nice feel to it, and has lots of features. I think the video quality is definitely acceptable, but that is my own opinion. Again, budget friendly, cheap is really subjective. So when I say this is budget friendly, between $80 and $100, maybe if it's more important for you to spend a little bit less than that, you can definitely buy a camera like this, such as the one that we have here. Something in that price range of around $50 maybe, as opposed to something which costs between $80 and $100. So you can feel free to shop around on Amazon. You can buy one that costs more than $50, of course. You can buy one that costs around $50, and then you can purchase it, and you can look at the footage that you recorded and decide for yourself if you're looking for something better and maybe want to spend more money. But it's nice to know that you don't have to buy a camera starting at $200. An action camera, you can certainly buy one for less than $100 or even less than $60. This is my review of the Campark X35. Overall, I am happy with this product. However, I will say that if you would like to spend less money than between $80 and $100, you can get something like this, the Campark X25, or something from a different company. But make sure to look at sample footage on YouTube before you decide which camera to get. All I'm saying is, with lots of competitors making cameras like this, it is possible to get something for around $50 and to still have, in my opinion, acceptable video quality. But speaking just about this Campark X35, it came with lots of accessories. It has the screen on the front, which is pretty cool. I haven't used it, but I assume that when you're recording, this screen will be on so you can see, if your camera's pointed at you, what is being recorded. And battery life, I think, is very acceptable. Lots of features like the time-lapse feature, slow motion feature, and many different video settings going all the way up to 4K at 30 frames per second. I think the video quality is pretty good, in my own opinion. It's not the best necessarily, which is why I said it's possible to spend less money and get less than $80 to $100 and get a camera which records the same quality as this. But I'm overall happy with this product so far. I'm happy I purchased it, and I intend to keep this product, the Campark X35. This has been my review. The second part of this video will be some video tests, and we will label each clip showing at what resolution it was recorded, so you can decide for yourself if you think the video quality looks good in your own opinion. So thanks for watching this review of the Campark X35 action camera, and I will see you in the next few clips where we show you some video tests recorded with this action camera. This is a 4K video test at 30 frames per second with the Campark X35. This is a 4K video test, 30 frames per second. Hello, this is a 4K video test at 30 frames per second with the Campark X35 action camera. We currently have the underwater housing off of the camera, and this is just a test to see how good you think the video quality is, how good you think the image stabilization is, and how well you can hear me right now. We purchased this camera from Amazon, on Amazon for less than $100, and there's a lot of features here. It's not the cheapest camera you can buy, even though it is already cheaper than a GoPro camera, but you can still buy a cheaper camera than this. This is in the $80 to $100 range. You can buy one for $50, around that price, and still have very good video quality. We recently purchased this camera. I think it was released in 2021, the Campark X35, and we're just making some video tests just to see how good the video quality is on this camera, which cost less than $100. I'm hoping that the video doesn't look too shaky right now. Apparently there's some sort of image stabilization here, so let's see if it can look stabilized while I'm walking through the woods over here. It's a beautiful day, Sunday, March 21st, 2021. And we're just walking around. Again, this is a 4K video test at 30 frames per second with the Campark X35 action camera. This is a 1080 2.7K video test at 30 frames per second with the Campark X35. This is a 2.7K video test at 30 frames per second. This is a 2.7K video test at 30 frames per second with the Campark X35 action camera. .7K video test with the Campark X35 action camera, which we purchased on Amazon for less than $100. Hello, this is a 1080p video test at 120 frames per second with the Campark X35 action camera, which we purchased on Amazon for less than $100. 1080p video test, 120 frames per second without the underwater housing. This is just a video test and an audio test. See how well you can hear me right now, how good the video quality. is. Hello, this is a 1080p 60 frames per second video test with the Campark X35 action camera, which we purchased on Amazon for less than $100. It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon, March 21st, 2021. This is the Campark X35 action camera, 1080p video test, 60 frames per second. It is spring, but there is still some snow over here left over. .1080p video test, 60 frames per second. Hello, this is a 1080p video test at 60 frames per second with the Campark X35 action camera, which we purchased on Amazon for less than $100. There are lots of frogs, as you can hear right now. Lots of frogs. I think you can see that one right over there. And quite a bit more over there, everywhere pretty much. It is Sunday, March 21st, 2021. Very nice day outside. 1080p video test, 60 frames per second with the Campark X35 action camera.